Golden sunlight streams gently through the large bistro windows, painting the room in warm amber hues. The faint hum of chatter, the soft clinking of cups, and the rich aroma of roasted coffee fill the air. By the window, Margaret Carter, 72, sits gracefully yet quietly beside her son, Ethan. Her silver-white hair, neatly tied in a bun, shimmers under the sunlight. Her pale blue eyes reflect both wisdom and loneliness as her slightly trembling hands cradle a porcelain teacup. Ethan, dressed sharply in a navy suit, glances at her tenderly, a mix of love and concern in his gaze. The moment shifts when Lily Parker, their young waitress, approaches with a kind smile. Her auburn hair glows in the light, soft strands framing her freckled face. She sets the cups down gently and begins speaking, but Margaret only watches her lips move in silence. A subtle sadness flickers in her eyes. Then, Lily pauses, sensing it. With a small, understanding smile, she begins to move her hands, signing gently, "Would you like more tea?" Margaret's breath catches. Her lips tremble, eyes widening in disbelief. Slowly, she signs back. For the first time in years, someone understands her. The air inside the bistro seems to shift, as though time itself pauses to make room for something pure. Golden rays filter through the tall windows, dancing across the polished wooden tables and catching the tiny motes of dust suspended in the still air. The faint clatter of dishes and the low murmur of conversation fade into the background as Lily Parker continues to sign, her hands moving with elegant precision, every motion deliberate and full of care. Across from her, Margaret Carter sits frozen for a moment, her pale blue eyes wide with wonder. Then, slowly, her trembling hands rise from the table, uncertain at first, before forming the familiar gestures she thought she'd long forgotten how to use. A soft smile spreads across her face, fragile yet luminous. It's been years since anyone outside her family has spoken to her in her own silent language. Ethan Carter, standing beside her, watches in stunned silence. His usually composed face softens, his deep brown eyes glisten under the afternoon light. He's seen his mother communicate with difficulty for so long, the frustration of lip reading, the missed words, the quiet isolation. Now, before his eyes, that isolation is melting away. Lily's hazel green eyes shine warmly as she signs, "You sign beautifully." Margaret's lips quiver before she signs back, "It's been so long since someone tried." Both women smile, one shy, one full of gratitude, as the world around them remains suspended in reverent quiet. Ethan's hand rests gently on the table, his silver wristwatch glinting faintly. He doesn't interrupt. He simply watches, heart swelling with awe and humility. In that fragile silence, words are unnecessary. The entire cafe becomes an audience to something sacred, a conversation not of sound, but of soul. From across the room, the golden sunlight deepens, turning the air into a soft haze of amber. Ethan Carter sits quietly, the faint hum of the cafe barely touching his thoughts. His gaze is fixed on the reflection in the bistro's tall glass window, a reflection that captures what words never could. There, in that pane of light and glass, he sees his mother, Margaret, and the young waitress, Lily, lost in their own silent exchange. Ethan leans forward slightly, elbows resting on his knees. The navy fabric of his suit glows faintly under the sun, and a few loose strands of his dark hair fall over his brow. His face, usually calm and businesslike, carries something rare now, softness. His brown eyes shimmer as he watches his mother's trembling fingers move with grace he hasn't seen in years. Through the window's gentle reflection, Margaret Carter looks radiant, her pale blue eyes filled with a light that's both nostalgic and new. Her silver-white hair catches the sunlight like silk threads. Every small movement of her hand seems to release the weight of years spent in silence. Beside her, Lily Parker signs with quiet elegance, auburn hair glinting bronze under the sun. Her freckled cheeks lift as she smiles warmly, her hands flowing like poetry in motion. The light dances across her face, across Margaret's, blending them into a picture of compassion and understanding. For Ethan, the scene feels unreal, too tender for a world so often cold. The reflection shows not just two women speaking without sound, but the raw beauty of connection itself. He realizes then that some of life's deepest conversations need no words at all, only hearts willing to listen through silence. The cafe grows quieter as the sun dips lower, casting long, honey-gold streaks across the floor. The air hums softly with the clink of teacups and distant laughter, but around Margaret, Lily, and Ethan, a sacred stillness forms, a moment suspended in time. Margaret Carter, her silver-white hair glowing under the light, sits with trembling hands resting on the table. Her pale blue eyes are wet with emotion, yet filled with a calm she hasn't felt in years. She looks at Lily Parker, this young waitress who appeared out of nowhere and somehow opened a door she thought had been locked forever. Her lips tremble as she tries to find words, but her voice falters, so instead, her fingers begin to move. Slowly, she signs, "Thank you." Her hands are unsure at first, the motions a little shaky, but Lily's face lights up instantly. She mirrors the signs with gentle precision, responding, "You're welcome." The exchange is simple, yet it feels monumental. Lily's hazel green eyes shine as she continues, signing carefully, "You remind me of my grandmother. She was deaf too." Her hands move softly, her expression full of affection and respect. Margaret's face crumples with emotion, a mix of surprise, gratitude, and love. A single tear slips down her cheek, catching the light. Across the table, Ethan Carter, watching in silence, feels his chest tighten. His mother's smile, small, trembling, but so alive, is something he hasn't seen in years. The proud businessman, who has spent his life solving problems with logic and words, suddenly finds himself speechless before the quiet grace unfolding in front of him. Lily reaches out, gently placing her hand over Margaret's. For a moment, time seems to hold its breath. The cafe's noise fades completely, leaving only the sound of hearts speaking a language older than words, kindness, gratitude, and shared humanity. As the sunlight spills softly over them, Ethan realizes that this young woman has given his mother something priceless. Not service, not sympathy, but connection. And in that golden silence, he understands, sometimes, the smallest gestures carry the greatest power. The golden hour settles over the bistro, turning every surface into liquid light. The once bustling cafe has quieted, only the faint hum of evening conversation and the clatter of distant dishes remain. Sunlight filters through the tall windows, wrapping Margaret, Lily, and Ethan in a soft amber glow that feels almost heavenly, as if the world itself is pausing to honor their moment. Margaret Carter, now standing, adjusts her cream cardigan with trembling hands. Her silver-white hair glows faintly beneath the sun, and her pale blue eyes shimmer with both joy and sadness, the bittersweet tenderness of a moment she wishes could last forever. She reaches for Lily Parker, her fingers brushing the young woman's hand gently before pulling her into a warm, motherly hug. Lily stiffens at first, startled by the sudden affection, then relaxes into the embrace. Her auburn hair catches the sunlight like threads of copper, her hazel green eyes closing as her arms circle the elderly woman with care. Her freckled cheeks press softly against Margaret's shoulder, her apron crinkles between them, the faint scent of coffee and vanilla clinging to her blouse. For a moment, neither of them moves. The world falls completely silent, no chatter, no motion, just the rhythm of two hearts beating in quiet gratitude. Behind them, Ethan Carter stands with his hands in his pockets, watching with glistening brown eyes. His navy suit catches the fading light, a faint smile curving on his lips, not one of formality, but of pure pride and awe. For the first time in years, he sees his mother truly seen by someone else, not as a woman isolated by silence, but as a person full of love, life, and light. As they pull apart, Margaret places a gentle hand over Lily's and signs slowly, "Thank you for hearing me." Lily's eyes well up, and she signs back softly, "You didn't need words." The sun dips lower, framing them in a final glow, a picture of connection, compassion, and grace. When Ethan holds the door open for his mother, he looks back one last time, and realizes that kindness, once spoken, never really ends. It echoes forever.